Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Pitch Perfect Pod. My name is Kiki, one of the co-hosts, along with
Hi,
Elaine.
hello.
And this week we are joined by the Rainbow Pitch League Season 2 winner, Sofia. Welcome, Sofia.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to have you. Um, we were super excited to cast all of your games, watch how you went. So we're very kind of excited to have you here, get your opinions on the game as a whole. As well as talk about your run a little bit and what you kind of love from our community. Cool. I was going to go into sponsors, but that is not a thing. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. This is still kind of new to me, so I might stumble a little bit, but we're here. And let's just talk a little bit about what we've been up to in Flesh and Blood over the last week or so since we last recorded. Sophia, would you like to start us off, perhaps?
Yeah, I was telling Elaine, didn't get to play my armory this week because of work, but I'm really testing some Auxilio techs. I should be training with Azalea into the new meta, but Auxilio is just... Yeah, he's a funny guy. I want to play with him.
He is a funny guy. No, totally fair. I mean, we already know what you can do with Azalea. We've already seen what you can kind of do with her. So it kind of makes sense that you would be kind of exploring these new other characters. So yeah, great job with that. Elaine, have you had anything exciting with Flesh and Blood this week?
Well, similar to Sophia, actually, I did not go to my armory this week because it started 3 minutes ago, so obviously I am here, not there. But I played just a few games of. I had a really busy week, but I played a few games of Auxilio because just doing some more testing, trying to play when I can, and yeah, no, I agree. I just love Auxilio. So fun. I cannot stop. And yeah, well, I'm real quick. I'm just gonna plug that starting next week. Hopefully, this episode will be out by the time this starts. We are about to run like a fundraiser for the Trevor Project through RxPL. So you just have to donate, and then you can play. And it's only Rosetta heroes. It's like super lax, no deck list, no pricing, just for fun. And it's just going to be 3 weeks. But Kiki and I were talking before this and realizing that we can play in it. We can actually, yeah. Aside from
we can play in it.
Like we can't play in RxPL because it's a lot of work, and it's also like pricing, and we want to give that to the community, not for ourselves. But this is just a fundraiser. Obviously, I'm planning on participating in the fundraiser part, and yeah, it just clicked that like we can actually play in this little fun mini league. Yeah, so I plan on playing Auxilio in that.
Just announcing to the world what you're gonna be playing before the
everyone
starts.
Everyone knows. Everyone already knows.
Everyone knows. Yeah, we know who your husband is. It's okay.
My man.
Your man. Yeah, well, I've been playing Verdance this week. Been doing a lot of Verdance games. I've been playing against a lot of Rune Blades, and they all have Reaping Blade to stop me from gaining life, which is incredibly rude of them. Like, all I want to do is gain life, and if they happen to lose life, that's their problem. But yes, I've been playing a lot of Verdance. I've mostly into Rune Blades. I've been playing a little bit into Zen as well, and I also got destroyed by Aurora multiple times. But other than that, Verdance, or Verdance, I don't know how to pronounce her name, is a lot of fun. I really enjoy playing her. It's very grindy. And of course, I got my creator kit stuff. So here's the cold foil felling of the crown. It's very pretty and shiny. And here's the etchings of Arcana. It does come in 3 colors, but that involves taking it out of the packaging, which is difficult. But yes, so this is the spoiler that Elaine and I and Britton and Mara all worked on somewhat independently, with the exception of me knowing about everyone's contributions. And then, of course, there's also the playmat that comes with it
Beautiful. Oh, it's the broccoli guy.
Oh yeah,
It's the big broccoli.
It's the big broccoli. Yeah. So they gave me a choice of when they sent these out. They're like, "Are you an Earth fan or a Lightning fan?" And I'm like, "I'm an Earth fan. I'm a big fan of the Earth, so big broccoli." Now, considering I am a vegan, I would eat broccoli. So who knows? Maybe it'll be dinner. But yeah. Does anything else happen in my week, or did anything else happen in y'all's week?
Not flesh and blood related. Yeah.
No.
Now I'm just wondering if
Yeah. Okay.
if the broccoli is sentient, is it still vegan?
Yeah, the broccoli would have to be giving consent for me to consume it, so I wouldn't actually consume a flesh and blood card, I guess. But
that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole big topic about veganism that probably isn't the target audience for a game called Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking about the same stuff.
Yeah, that
right.
broccoli is a living being, so I don't know
Okay.
if that broccoli is vegan.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I won't eat my playmate, okay? I'll leave him be. He'll be fine. He can just sit amongst my other playmates. Maybe I'll put him on my wall,
Yeah.
I already got 2 up there. I do need more of the display things, but yeah. Okay. I don't have a fancy sort of segue to get into the next segment, but we are Pitch Perfect, and we do love our women and our gender non-conforming folk, and we love to celebrate their successes. So, obviously, we have Sophia. We're going to celebrate your success. Congratulations on winning the Rainbow Pitch League.
Congratulations.
102-person event, big international event. This is a huge deal, and it's really cool to see somebody from the kind of non-currently dominant areas of Flesh and Blood.
Brazil,
yeah,
though, Brazil's been showing up
difficult.
and showing out, I'll say. Guys.
Yeah, we just had on the last Pro Tour, Felipe.
Oh, true.
Got top 8. I know him. We've played together. He's a really sweet guy. And yeah, there's this. I don't know what it is. I really like our TCG culture.
Yeah.
It's Brazil. From other TCGs, you have prominent players too. And I don't know what it is about with how we play, but sometimes we just get there, and it's really funny.
Well, now we can add you to that long list of these prominent TCG card game players. So congratulations, well done. Speaking of league participants who have done well, Amelia came 3rd at the Battle Hardened in Australia Classic Constructed, the first Classic Constructed major event for the Rosetta season. So big shout outs to her. She also is a 2-time Rainbow Pitch League top 8 participant, I believe. So she is consistently performing. I've met her. She's super lovely as well. So very excited for her. And then also, once again, we have Liv from T and TCG, who's just released a beginner video, kind of introducing Flesh and Blood to newer players, how to get into the game, so on and so forth. So I just saw that this morning. I'll need to check it out at some point later today, but I'm really excited for that. A lot of people seem excited about that content as well, especially after the success of her first video. So we'll probably once again put her links down in the description below. But yes,
Woohoo!
women, minority folk, doing great stuff in our community. Is there anything that we're missing? Yep.
You guys will have to help me out because I can't remember her name. You guys did her shout out last week because she has a new YouTube channel and she was talking about Zen.
Yeah, that was Liv.
Yeah, that was Liv. So she's released another video this week for your players.
Yeah, I loved it. I was checking it out today.
Yeah.
And just got me thinking about a lot of experience with new players. And yeah, she did great. She's doing great. I really liked her vibes. Her audio is really good. So
beautiful. Yeah. No, the first video had a lot
really
of great
interesting
editing
content.
as well. Big fan of what she's doing. Okay. So, the reason why we're all gathered here today, that sounded far too dramatic, is to kind of celebrate you, Sophia, and kind of get your thoughts on the game, and so on and so forth. So, firstly, we've already congratulated. So, firstly, what does the Rainbow Pitch League mean to you?
Yeah, when we did the top 8, you asked like a similar question. And at the time, I really could only think about like a meme answer of like, yeah, I get to play Azalea, my dummy mommy, or something. But seriously, it's been really special. I got to meet a lot of new people. I got to strengthen some bonds with people from my country that I didn't know very well. But because we were together in the league, we got to chat about it. And there's this, the league in itself was really special to me because I had this personal goal for this year to get like a cool top 8. And like it's 100% event, so I'm really proud of this performance. It's way beyond anything that I would imagine. I was playing every week, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll get to play against Rhea, I'll get to play against Mara, Yuki, and it was always like, oh yeah, I didn't lose, so I should still get a chance. I ended up not playing with them. Kind of suffering from success, I guess.
Yeah, that kind of just shows, just to really quickly interject, it kind of just shows the level of competition we had in our league. That these Flesh and Blood powerhouses.
Is a great player.
Yeah. All these players, like, whether they're previous Rainbow Pitch League participants or like our bounty hunters who are fantastic players, they were taken down on your journey and other people's journeys into top 8s. I mean, Arya did top 8, so great job to her as well.
Yeah.
But it really shows the level of competition in the Rainbow Pitch League, as you were mentioning. You were suffering from too much success. You were in this event, you were ahead of these players, so great job. But please
yeah. And something that's kind of adjacent to that, that we've been talking about, is like the creation of these online communities or local communities for genderqueer, minority genders, and such. And I don't know, it's really interesting because on Flesh and Blood specifically, I really don't have queer peers, The people I know are from like other cities, so kind of it gets the same vibes, even though we're international. I'm talking about the Rainbow Files, right? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble making sentences.
Yeah, you're doing great.
You're doing great.
Yeah, so getting to meet people is just so good. We have some spaces to talk about things we're going through. Sometimes it's kind of lonely, so getting to have a semblance of community has been great for me specifically. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I really like my local communities in Brazil. Shout out to Majestics. Yeah, it's a great name. So yeah, do this kind of thing, seek community. If you have the means, be the person that can aggregate, and I don't know. Yeah.
That's a really beautiful sentiment. The idea of communities coming together, and having these international communities as well as your local ones as well, as you've mentioned. I guess on my end as the founder of the Rainbow Foils, I'm happy that you find a lot of kind of pace or use, or you get a lot out of the community existing. And like, I kind of get it. Like, I'm on the bottom of the world. There's very few people in like our community locally compared to the wider one that also fit within the marginalized community. So it's really nice to have that. So I appreciate you kind of getting a lot out of that and appreciating that in itself.
Yeah, it definitely means like a lot to just like hear people say that they actually like get something out of these spaces that we try and work to create together and independently. So yeah, thank you for that.
Okay. So that kind of went through the next question, which was going to be, as an extension of the Rainbow Pitch League, are there other minority groups that you feel passionately about, and why? With that being addressed, why did you pick Azalea? You mentioned that she's Udami mommy, and she is to a lot of people. Everyone loves her. She stands on business, We appreciate her for that. But why did you pick Azalea for this tournament? Were there any sort of matchups that you were concerned about, or any matchups you were focused on with your deck choice? Did Az kind of convince you to do it? Like, why Azalea?
Yeah, Azalea, I just always ended up picking her for any event since I got her deck. Last year I was like, oh no, I'm gonna play Lexi, she's the really cool deck, and I was like not having fun in testing. So like, I either can have like fun testing, or I can have a miserable time and play a better deck. Didn't pan out great because in Brazil Nationals of last year, the most represented deck was Bravo, so that was nice. Out of the 6 rounds of CC, I played 4 of them against Bravo. But yeah, I have this thing with Azalea. She's my girl.
Yeah.
I always end up picking her. Specifically for this meta. The sentiment at the time when we were submitting deck lists was that Enigma was gonna be really hot shot for the format.
Yeah.
So I had my deck tagged accordingly with Ravenous Rebels. That's something that a lot of people cut because Brody said we couldn't use it, along with blues. Yeah, so they ended up working a lot for me, even though I didn't play against Enigma on the league. So
you did come up against Prisms, though, so
yeah,
kind of similar.
Prism was a match that it's really swingy. So
yeah,
Prism, the KO is another one. That they're not. I wouldn't say they're disfavorable, but like they really can go either way. You can like just play well and have a good percentage, And I didn't have my a balance of justice to play against KO, so I kind of just rock it, and I hope I'm happy it worked out. It didn't work out on Nationals, but not flying the balance, but that's something else. I don't know, other meta considerations. Yeah, it's more like that. I was like, oh, I think Enigma is okay. She's going to be the hot shot. If people are playing other guys, I have Red in the Ledger, so usual Azalea stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. You did have your Merkmai Grapnels, which is very important for both the Prism and the Enigma Mirror, so that's good. And of course, you have your Red and the Ledger, which is super powerful against almost every deck. So you have like a lot of disruption for everyone.
Something that I missed from my deck list and going to the top 8, I was really like, oh my god, why don't I have this card? Is Sleep Dart that takes away heroes' abilities. It's such a good card, and I don't know why I didn't put it in my sideboard, but again, it worked out in the end, but I think I could be better prepared.
There's always room for improvement.
It definitely worked out in the end. I am someone who notoriously does not really enjoy Azalea. And so we had Azalea in the top 8 and throughout the league that we were commentating games for, and I just felt like I learned so much about Azalea just through watching your games. It was just really well done. Your deck was so powerful, and you played phenomenally. So I actually really enjoyed watching Azalea, and there was like a few games when I would watch it and I'd be like, oh, maybe I should play this. Maybe I should try and play this again. It didn't go that far, but but I still learned a lot and gained a new appreciation.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but between her Legendary Helm and Death Dealer and her ability, like, you have so much information. So she's the kind of deck that lets you screw up your turn. So I've always had these conversations of like, oh no, Azalea is such a inconsistent deck. You have Rune Blade hands. If you are greedy and don't arsenal a card, it does happen that you just brick, but if you're arsenaling, it's so unlikely that, I don't know. So she doesn't carry you, you know?
Yeah. And you also take these like Rune Blade hands, the kind of all non-attacks or all attacks. You take that with the power level of the deck itself, because more often than not, that's going to not happen. You're usually going to have a mix of both. And when you do have the mix of both, that's when the hands are dominant and the decks are dominant, and your attacks are literally dominated.
Dominate for 16. It had happened so much in this league.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So, about Flesh and Blood as a whole now. Let's go to Flesh and Blood as a whole. What draws you to Flesh and Blood? Like, why this game? Why are you here? What do you love about it?
I can think of 3 answers.
Beautiful.
One is that it's just my favorite game ever. Like, it's the game that I've had most fun my entire life. It's just like, ever since I played the first time Flesh and Blood, whenever I was playing anything else, it was like, oh, I could be playing Flesh and Blood. It didn't take long for me to like sell my other collections to just go into the game, because I don't know, I can play it and I don't get tired of it. When this Bravo meta was out, that I couldn't play locals because we had the Bravo. I had a 3-month period that I was just brewing. Oh, how can I get this? How can I get there? Like, I'm never discouraged about playing game. You always have, if you make one change to your deck, you will feel it in the next game. Like, there's something about it, all the tenets that the design philosophy goes around, that just clicks with me, and I think it's a great game. So that's one of the answers. The other is like I think the most correct answer, that it's like finding community, finding being in the Flesh and Blood with your locals. It's just great. Going from the pandemic to getting back to socialize and have genuine friendships out of the game. I think it's the best thing it brings. And there's the third, in which I can play with my black leather wearing dummy mommy, and it's true. Like, it dominates written on her. So,
True.
oh yeah, that's something about LSS that I love. The puns with the cards are sensational. They're great. Like, KO is armed and dangerous. He's armed. I love this shit.
I'm a big fan of puns, and I definitely agree. Yeah, no, like Kano being from a volcano kind of area. Yeah. Katsu because he cuts you. Bravo because he's a showman.
Yeah, Bravo has like blue and red clothing, and he doesn't play yellows.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
True.
Yeah.
Not something I considered before. But yeah, even
I don't know if they go that far with the designing, but I got this vibe like, oh, they're telling me how to brew this. Like, you Spider Crush the ninjas, there's literally a ninja on the art.
No, so, for sure.
Just a special game with special people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are some great answers. Like, I love the idea of functionally building on what you said about Azalea and how she draws you to the game, about like how people kind of get these sort of identities through playing the game. You know, maybe you love Acilio, or you know, maybe you
just maybe you like that at all.
Exactly. Like, there's a whole bunch of different aesthetics and vibes for everyone, which is perfect. And like you mentioned as well, like, this game basically lived or began just before the pandemic started. Like, literally, it was the Arcane Rising pre-release, and then COVID happened in New Zealand. And somehow the game survived through that. And it was funny, because during that period of the pandemic, I was actually part of a different league as a player. And there was like, it was mostly New Zealanders, like I think maybe 2 or 3 Australians, and then 2 or 3 Americans that like we hadn't heard of before were just in our league, and like they had access to these cards. And we only knew like 5 Americans at the time playing Flesh and Blood, so it was kind of cool. That might be an exaggeration, but it was very small in the States back then. But, you know, we built some international kind of connections through the pandemic, through Flesh and Blood, despite obviously being isolated at home, which is really cool. So 1000%, the connections that we make through this game, super important. The identities we get within this game, super important. And of course the game itself is fantastic. And yeah, like, I go through kind of seasons between the competitive seasons of Flesh and Blood where I'll dabble in other things, kind of like, you know, not burn myself out, and then I'll be having a great time, and I'll come back to Flesh and Blood and realize, oh, this game is just the best for me. Like, not to trash anybody else's games, but like, for me and how I enjoy playing games, Flesh and Blood is ideal. It's so good. There's the aggro decks if you like to play aggro and do big splashy things. There's the possibility where you can grind the game out and win on the 49th minute if you really want to. So, totally feel all your points. I think those are some great answers.
I really dig the fantasy in itself of Flesh and Blood, the feeling you get of your character getting tired and such. Or like this. Yeah, Flesh and Blood's a fighting game, so you run out with all your tools, you can do whatever you want, and then you get less powerful. This is a great fantasy for me.
I think like the game design, like the game is designed so well from hero to hero and from class to class. Like the way each class plays makes sense to how that class would like actually play in real life. And so like it really wraps you into the fantasy in the games, at least for me. And I always feel like when I try and tell my friends about Flesh and Blood who don't play Flesh and Blood, I'm like a paid actor because I'm so excited about it. I just want to I'm just like, yeah, no, you have to play. It's the best game. What game do you play? Oh, yeah, but you would like this game. Like,
Yeah,
just try it, you know? And then I'm like, they're like, oh, I tried it. And I'm like, what deck did
yeah.
you play? And they'll name a deck. I'm like, no, that deck's not for you. Like, there's one for everyone. I swear, you know. Because it's true. Yeah, I was introduced to the game back in Crucible when like Crew came out on Azalea, and I did not like it. And when I rediscovered the game again on Dorinthia and Kasai, I like loved it, and I fell in love with Warrior, and that's still the decks that I play. And it's like you just once you find that deck that you identify with, there's just nothing like it. It's so good. I love this game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh.
100%.
I was gonna say, that period of time where there was no Prism, like, and constructed, I was just like, yeah, I'll play Levia, I'll play Rhino, I'll go back to Dash, I play Dash, I'll play Oldhim. I had all these different heroes, and even Dash, you know, like, I eventually went back to Dash, and I was like, this feels right, this feels right. And then the new Prism came out, and the new Prism became good, and I was like, oh no, this is where I'm supposed to be, I get it now.
Yeah.
I feel whole again.
And Prism needed that Luminaris hotfix.
Yes, basically it came down to that weapon, the was it Angel's Glow as the second Luminaris? The second Luminaris just didn't quite work out. It was a bit too expensive.
Yeah.
But yes, okay. So quickly back to the league again. You were involved in 7 rounds of Swiss, followed by 3 top 8 games. Were there any sort of key moments in those games or any key rounds for you that you feel really developed you either as a player or was just like a really cool, like, oh dang kind of moment that really sticks out to you that you just will have as a memory? Like,
definitely on the top 8.
mm-hmm.
I only really got to play on camera on the top 8.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I don't know what it is about manipulating your cards, but I was feeling it. I was like, yeah, I'll do this risky play, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It either works or doesn't. That's the odds. So I did some really risky plays, and I'm really proud of them because they were like really good calls for the turn. And generally, I really liked how I got some losses on the Swiss. I lost against Layla on the last few rounds of Swiss.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I got the time to really study her deck list, to ask my friends about the matchup, what they thought about it. And I could really think that in this league I really gave my all. I really took the time to really do things right and play my A game and prove to myself that I can do it, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, for sure. It's really funny, we did try to get you during the Swiss portion to be on camera. I think twice even. It just so happened that your opponent wasn't able to make it for whatever reason. But
yeah.
glad you ended up in the top 8 and we were able to showcase you nonetheless. Also, the fact that you and Layla did play in the last round of the Swiss made it easy for me to build a narrative going into the finals. So, very serendipitous, very lucky that happened.
Yeah, I really like the tournaments because you get those little stories.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say something. I just blanked out.
You're good.
So don't worry about it. We can go on.
And we touched on this again a little bit before as well, but you know, this is obviously an international competition. There was a lot of people from the United States, North America, including Canada as well. There was a fairly sizable like Oceania contingent this time. We had a New Zealander, and 2 Australians in the top 8, as well as a whole bunch more within the event itself. And of course, we had... How many Brazilians were there? There was at least 2, maybe
think
4?
we got 4.
Yeah, 4.
And 2 of them dropped. I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, 4 out of 100 people is... or 102 people is roughly 4%. Like, that's fairly kind of... You know, it's not insignificant, but it's not the most populated kind of community there. But to show that, you know, y'all were able to like kind of step up and show out and be prominent, how does it feel to kind of represent Brazil in international competition?
Yeah, I have like obviously I'm really happy to see Latin America being prominent in this. I don't know of other communities in South America from other countries. From Flesh and Blood, I think we had some players from Paraguay for Battle Hardened, but Brazil is such a big country, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard to be like, oh yeah, I'm representing this, because we're just so diverse. I think the US has some semblance in that. Like, but I have this feeling that Brazil doesn't have like this really united front of a national identity.
Okay.
But then again, even then, I can see this culture that we have. If you go to our Battle Hardened, you will see like the play styles that we prefer. You'll see the play patterns that we like. So even though we're a small community in a big country, yeah, I'm happy to be putting us on the spotlight somehow to get people to think about us. We're really aiming for calling. I know LSS should be listening. We're calling Cachoeirinha, or yeah. So that's kind of my feelings. They're kind of complex, but obviously it's a good thing. I'd rather be here and not be the best representation than not having it at all.
It's important to get all the voices heard, even if you're just a part of this larger community as a whole, and like even if it is diverse, it is important to try to get as many of those voices out. So good job on, again, being out there, putting a voice up for, you know, I guess, you know, not just your country, but also for our community, you know, being a champion of that as well now. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Now, you spoke of callings. Are there any other big events kind of in the future that you're kind of looking forward to, working towards, any goals? Basically, like, what can we expect from Sofia in the future?
Yeah, I really don't know. It's kind of iffy if I get to travel. Like, sometimes it happens. So I'm really liking these online leagues. I was playing the league that means nothing from AS, so it was really fun. So I get to see these places somewhat, but I don't know if I'll have like going to big callings or pro tours because of literal accessibility and work issues.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
But if I can make it, I will, and I will let you guys know.
Please do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now I'm like, okay, I'll try the PQ. I got to finals on the last Pro Quest, and I really fumbled the finals. Yeah, like I activated my Red Ledger and I drew my card before putting the arrow on the arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I did it. I did this thousands of times and I couldn't do it. The finals.
For sure. Sometimes after a long day of games,
definitely.
this kind of happens. As somebody who has accidentally drawn 5 cards on camera, like, I get it.
Yeah, I have this friend. Yeah, he played a what's the name of the card that shuffles 3 cards back into the library?
Remembrance?
Yeah, he played a Remembrance and he shuffled all of his graveyard to the library.
Oh no!
Because he was so tired. On camera, and it was just chaos. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell do we do now? Is this a match loss? He was playing Uzuri Fatigue.
Oh. Yeah.
He was fatigued, alright, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. As from my city specifically, we have this reputation of getting really tired.
Flesh and Blood is a mentally taxing game. Like after, like, I'm always so excited to go to, like, travel to events and go to an event that like takes a weekend. But oh my gosh, they are the most exhausting things. And I always, now I know going into it, like, I'm just going to be dead. Like, if I go travel to a Flesh and Blood event, I need at least a day and a half to do like nothing and just recover. Like, they're very mentally taxing. We've definitely all been there where you play Flesh and Blood all day and then you're just making simple mistakes. Yeah.
For sure. Like, getting back from Japan afterwards is going to be tough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's something that I really liked about the league, that I could rest for a week between rounds. So even though I was having like some matches against Australian opponents, so the time zones got weird.
Yeah.
Though we had that, like, I was rested, I was good to go. I thought a lot about the matchup before getting there, so it's something that is specific to this kind of league that I think it's interesting. I don't know if I think it's cool. I don't know if I really could do the same performance if we had like the league in one day.
Yeah. You know, that's an interesting point. Like, something that I actually haven't really thought of, but it can speak to our pillars of just like, you know, like growing in the game, whether that's like growing your confidence or growing as a player or both. But being able to like get your matchup and then play it in a few days and have time, because there's definitely been times at tournaments where I get paired into something and I'm like, this is a random deck. I don't know how to play against this. Like, I didn't play test against this. Like, what is my angle here? How am I supposed to play this matchup? And so it is interesting point that you brought up that I hadn't considered before, that like you do have time to really try and think your way through a matchup if you get paired into something for that week that you're not as familiar with. And it is like an opportunity for growth, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1000%. I agree with all that sentiment. Being able to take time and think again. Also, just not have to play back-to-back games when the games are important and all mean something. Definitely makes your tournament experience a lot less jumbled, I guess.
And getting the time to regulate your emotions if you get a loss.
Yeah, no, that's big.
It's all part of it. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's toss it over to a couple of community questions that we have for you. The first one comes from Az, who runs the league you were just talking about. He says, As a long-term Azalea/Ranger lover, what would you love to see added to the Ranger class? A talent, a thematic mechanic, or any particular aesthetic?
Yeah, it was before we got the Rosetta cards, but I really had this idea that a Earth Ranger would be awesome, like Channel Mount Heroic Endless Arrow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I actually did some, I don't know, like a thought experiment, and I brewed my Riptide deck as though he had Earth and no other change of text. And at the time I could play with Crown Seeds. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So Earth Ranger, I'd love that. I think that a lot of people would like the crossbow Ranger that is in some illustrations that they're holding two crossbows. I think that's a really cool thing. Like you could get even a cowboy aesthetic.
Yeah.
Could go that way.
Or pirates.
And I want to know more. I want to see more cyberpunk Rangers. I really like the new Azalea gear. It was like, Matrix stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at night.
Yeah.
It was cool.
That is kind of funny they bring that up. Like, a lot of the black tech technology from the assassin class is discarded, like, materials and resources from metrics. Like, I don't know if you know much about the lore, but the two metrics and the pits are very much tied in together in that kind of way. So that is definitely something that's feasible. And also the Earth Ranger thing, like, they kind of hint at that with amplifying Arrow. Like, that is an Arya-based Ranger.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a Blitz deck or something. I don't know.
Your dreams may still come true in regards to your Earth Ranger, you know?
Yeah.
And then the other community question we have, going to the other side of the classic constructed legal Rangers, comes from Tommy, and he says, I got to call some of your Riptide games in the league that means nothing, and they were awesome. How do you feel about our green guy in this post-Rosetta meta?
Yeah, I think he got some good tools for dealing with his really bad matchups, like Wizard specifically. I'm not well versed in the really aggro Riptide. I like to play Riptide to get another playstyle. So I'm not like making a Death Dealer Riptide. I think that's not really what I want to be doing with the hero. And he's more of my pet deck. I'm not being competitive with him. So I play his Fatigue deck. And specifically for this kind of build, I think that not much is changing. I think he just got a little bit better because we're not dealing with Zen. And if we get more grindy, we get some Dorintheus, Axis, some Kasai, some Guardians. He will do really well in an environment like that. Yeah. That's it. Thanks, Tommy. You're great. And thanks, as too.
Yeah, no, fantastic community members. Very passionate about Flesh and Blood and our community as a whole. So great to see them with their little inputs. Now, this isn't a question we pre-prepared, but how do you feel about Azalea into the new heroes? Like, have you had a chance to play her into the new heroes yet, or?
I think the matchups are good for Azalea. I don't think that we're getting like against Verdance is really okay. Florian too. Ocilio, it's really good, and Aurora, like Red the Ledger, them, and don't worry about it. So yeah,
A lot of no blocks.
Really, really okay into the new heroes. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So do you think maybe we can expect to see her at Worlds? Like, what's your prediction for Worlds? That's a good question. Who do you think? What hero do you think is going to take it out at Worlds? And if you're so bold, who do you think is going to take it out at Worlds?
Wow.
Don't say me. It's not going to be me.
I'm pulling for you, Kiki.
I think it's going to be Kano.
Kano.
Yeah. And it will be... The problem about Kano is that Kano players don't draft. So Worlds is a bad environment for being a Kano player. But
should there be a Kano player who can draft?
Yeah, I'll call my shot to say Felipe gets the Worlds today. This year. Yeah.
There we go.
I know he's going, so...
There we go. We have our official prediction for Worlds from Sofia. So with that being said, I believe that's all the questions we have for you today. Thank you very much for joining us. Is there anybody you want to shout out to kind of wrap it up?
Oh yeah. There's like a bit of a shout out that I want to do. It's like, as you know, Brazil is not having access to Twitter. And I ended up knowing that some people like congratulated me about the league and such, and I didn't respond. It's because I couldn't see it. So I really appreciate everyone that gave me this support. I really appreciate the community around the league. It was really cool. Kiki helped me a lot since the beginning of the league. You helped me out in all stages of the league. Like, had a problem with I didn't know what decklist I submitted. Like, so I really appreciate everything that you've done. I really appreciate the environment as something that you guys created. Lane, you're great too. I'm really happy getting to know you a bit better. We didn't talk much, so getting to talk to you, it's been really great. I want to shout out my locals, all these friends that I got to have in various levels just because of this wonderful game. So yeah.
Oh.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for being a part of our podcast this week. Thank you very much for being part of our league, and congratulations once again for taking out our league. Yeah, so with that being said, that seems like we've come to the end of this episode. You did mention that Twitter's not an option, but is there anywhere else we can find you on socials or anything?
Internationally, no? I think you don't really, well, just like Twitter and some like WhatsApp, which is not really suited for that.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day.
Yeah, hopefully, I'll get Twitter back, and we'll get to. Yeah. So hopefully, I'll get to see what you guys were.
You're gonna have so many notifications once Twitter gets reinstated for the sheer amount of times we've tagged you in posts. Yep. So hopefully that comes back. But in the meantime, you can find our podcast on Twitter. That's at PitchPerfectFab. And of course, you can find us individually as well. So you can find me on Twitter at Kiki_LA93. And you can
I
find
am
Elaine at
Ham on Tree on Twitter. Ham on Tree, like bacon on bush, pork on shrubbery, 3 words. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on today, Sophia. You are hilarious. I loved hearing your insight and just the way you answered these questions, so eloquently spoken. And yeah, and congratulate you again on winning this league. And I hope that we get to see more of you in the future.
Yeah, hopefully.
Great. So, with that being said, we will see you next time on the next episode, perhaps even in our upcoming mini league. So, keep an eye out for that. But until then,
Bye.
goodbye, everyone.
Bye.